This is the last time we will sit down and look at a new class's talents. And it's been interesting, but I have to say the thing I like the most is just the anticipation of it. Like it's been really interesting. Just like, oh, I can't wait to see what they have here, you know? Even though a lot of things have changed over the months, I feel like they even added a lot of talents that we're just never going to go in. We're probably going to see some of that here. It's just been really fun. This is actually like a revolutionary concept, and now it might be a little bit, you're getting used to it, but just don't forget that because, comparing classes, even from like BFA to Dragonflight, it's night and day. It really is. So let's take a look at it. Vengeance. I haven't looked at any of these, so we'll go through the entire tree and I will give my thoughts. I love your thoughts too, though, because honestly, this is the tank that I played the least in recent years. I mean, I don't even have a level 50 Vengeance Demon Hunter right now. So let's see what we got here. So we have Hot Feet, which is giving an extra charge to Infernal Strike for Vengeance. That's pretty interesting. And Vengeful Retreat. I noticed this early on when I saw this. I'm really shocked by that. So Vengeance is going to have that. Currently, that is not the case, right? I'm pretty sure they do not have that. And Sigil of Flame is going to be something that Havoc can have too. But of course, as Vengeance, we get that automatically. We have Shattered Restoration. The healing of shattered souls is increased by 5%. So, early stuff, pretty basic here. We have Imprison. That's the CC. We have Unrestrained Fury, Extra Fury. Really basic stuff so far. Vengeful Restraint reduces the movement speed of all nearby enemies by 70%. Wow. Very powerful kiting options here, don't you guys think? Vengeful Retreat with this, mobs are slowed and then double jump away. Yeah, those mobs are catching up. Disrupt, we have increased the range of your interrupt by 10 yards. That's a pretty vital thing right now. Bouncing Glaives, throw glaives ricochet to one additional target. That's a big threat dump, right? Or like it gives a lot of threat, I believe is the way to put it. Throw glaive, right? Consume magic. This is your purge, okay? Very powerful. Flames of Fury. Sigil of Flame generates 2 additional fury per target hit. Okay. Yeah, did not know it even gave fury to be honest, but oh, I see. Generates 30 fury. Is that like that in live? I haven't played it in a long time. Pursuit. Mastery increases your movement speed. That's interesting because that's a Havoc mastery, isn't it? I think the Havoc mastery is like you do more chaos damage and it also increases your movement speed. Wow, this is interesting. Disrupt generates 30 fury on a successful interrupt. That's a lot, but that's we've seen that a few times now with tanks. Aura of Pain increases the critical strike chance of Immolation Aura by 6%. Or we have Fel Blade, which is just the talent that they have right now. Aura of Pain, a pretty basic talent. Feels like very boring option there. Consume Magic. Consume Magic generates 20 fury when a beneficial magical effect is successfully removed from the target. Okay, so more things for, more utility. Charred War Blades. You heal for 5% of all fire damage you deal. Now, I'm pretty sure this was the Legion thing. This is the thing that I always look back at and be like, this should have been in the game the whole time. They took it out in BFA. And for a while there, Vengeance was like looked at as like a non-playable tank. And I always said, like, this is what they need because, they kind of like, I hate to say it, but to me, on paper, they just look like a worse Blood DK in terms of their design paradigm, not necessarily their tuning. That could change. Obviously, in season 1 of Shadowlands, it was the opposite, but it's just kind of like, what's their goals? What are their goals as a tank? And even in season 1 of Shadowlands, their goals were literally just run away. I mean, come on, man. There's got to be better design than that, right? It seems like they're kind of leaning into that, though, because Infernal Strike increases your movement speed by 10%. Okay. Master of the Glaive, Throw Glaive has 2 charges and snares enemies, so even more kiting. Rush of Chaos reduced the cooldown of Metamorphosis by 60 seconds. So I'm not really sure what the baseline is, but I think Vengeance is much lower than Havoc. So this is probably we're just gonna probably take Vengeances to the point where it's at now, and maybe it'll be good for Havoc. I have no idea. We have Concentrated Sigils or Precise Sigils. These are this is in the game now, yeah. Precise Sigils. I always seemed weird that you needed to take a talent for something that you can literally just macro, right? Okay. Lost in Darkness. Spectral Sight lasts an additional 6 seconds if disrupted by attacking or taking damage. That's interesting. So if you're trying to use it in combat, it's now usable, I guess. We have Illidari Knowledge. Reduces magic damage taken by 2% up to 4%. So that's pretty good for Vengeance. Of course, they have the tattoos or something like that. Some kind of ink or something like that. A passive that reduces their magic damage taken right now. And I think there's even conduits for it in Shadowlands. We have Soul Running. I've always liked this. This used to be a talent. Leech increased by 5% and even more, an additional 10% leech while meta is active. So we'll see. I'd really like, there was one thing that really caught my eye at the beginning of Shadowlands during the alpha, was it seemed like they had a very high vengeance, metamorphosis build, okay? And yeah, that's just not really, I don't know if that proliferated or not, but I always like that. I love being in metamorphosis. I think that's really fun. And that was one thing I liked a lot about it in BFA too. Because you had a heart of whatever the essence. You remember the essence? Anyway, infernal armor. Immolation aura increases your armor by 10% and causes melee curse to suffer fire damage. I love that as a talent. It's always been, I think that was a Azurite power in BFA. I love that. So that presumably will be 20% extra armor. We have Will of the Illidara, 20%, or no, it's just 2% maximum health, and then goes up to 4. So, Vengeance always to high health pool, so I quite like that. Chaos Nova, we have Unleash an eruption of Fel energy, dealing a bunch of chaos damage and stunning all nearby enemies. Oh, that's the stun. Wow. So that is one thing that Vengeance does not have currently, I believe, right? Unless I missed something. Yeah, I do not believe that they have that AoE stun. So that's really good. That they're getting a good amount of utility buffs here, it seems. We have Demonic. Ooh, that's the one. How does it work for Vengeance? It just says I-beam. I assume it's the same way that it, because that's a talent now, right? I believe. And there's also Demonic Origins. The cooldown is reduced by 2 minutes, but its duration is reduced by 10 seconds. Yeah, I don't know about that one, but Sigil of Silence will now be something that all Demon Hunters have, so that's pretty cool. It's weird, right? Because the Havoc spec has none of the sigils, right? Am I wrong about that? Chaos Fragments. Each enemy stunned by Chaos Nova has a 30% chance to generate a lesser soul fragment. So that's like you could use that for like a healing spell now. Unleashed Power, reduce the fury cost of Chaos Nova by 50% and its cooldown. Ooh, but that one sounds even better for keys. We have Blur. Wow, 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 wow. 1 minute cooldown. Oh my god. 50% dodge and a 20% damage reduction. Yo, Vengeance is going to be stacked, dude. They got a lot of cool. Darkness. Oh my god, this is crazy, dude. I'm glad I waited. This is powerful. These are powerful talents, man. So Vengeance will have Darkness. So both specs will have Darkness now. That's very nice. Man, that's cool. Sigil of Misery. This is the Fear one. Yeah, okay. So that's not, yeah, that one's always seemed weird to me. Demon Musel. Enemy deals 8% reduced magic damage to you after 8 seconds of being inflicted by one of your sigils. Okay. And if we play similar to how we've seen it played recently, there's going to be a lot of that uptime. We have Eldrachi Design, extra parry. Okay. Parry's always good for a tank. We read all these. Okay, Erratic Fell Heart. The cooldown of Infernal Strike is reduced. So, man, a lot of this on this left side, this is just all mobility, right? It's all mobility. It's kind of crazy. There's a couple of things that aren't mobility, but it's mostly mobility. Long Night. Okay, increases the duration of darkness by 2 seconds. Or Pitch Black. That was a Riddick. You guys ever watched that film? Anyway, reduces the cooldown of darkness by 120 seconds. Wow, that's really, these are good. These are really good. Oh, they have the Hunt. Okay, so this is just, I love this spell because it's just crazy long range charge. I've always loved the idea of the spell. I don't think it saw any play. I remember it having some play as like a single target thing for tanks at one point, but I really don't think it was very powerful. Most people probably skipped it. Improve Sigil of Misery. Reduce the cooldown of Sigil of Misery by 30 seconds or Misery and Defeat. Enemies take 10% increased damage from all sources after Sigil of Misery effect on them ends. What? That's a big deal, don't you think? Does it have to actually work? Like, can you use it on a raid boss? What's the cooldown of Sigil of Misery? 2 minutes. It's only for 5 seconds, but anytime you could actually buff your group's damage, that seems very valuable, don't you think? It probably doesn't work on a raid boss. Extended sigils increase the duration of sigil effects by 1 second, up to 2 seconds. That would actually make this talent worse, right? I don't think you would want that. Desperate Instincts. Blur now reduces damage taken by an additional 10%. Additionally, you automatically trigger Blur when with 50% reduced cooldown and duration when you fall below 35% health. That seems, yeah, I think I would take that right now. We have things that are buffing the Hunt. Increases damage over time effect of the Hunt, or the cooldown of the Hunt is reduced by 12 seconds whenever an enemy is killed. Well, only while it's affected by the dot, though. How long does the dot last? Oh, only 6 seconds? Really? Well, I don't fully understand how it works. Anyway, quickening sigil is also there. So the last few talents are really bad, I feel. These are really bad. All sigils activate 1 second faster and their cooldowns are reduced. But this could be good with the sigil of misery thing we were just looking at. And as of right now, I think I'm just going all the way down the left side. That would be very fun playstyle. But that's just the actual class one. So let's see the vengeance ones. Fel Devastation is the first point. That's a very surprising thing. That spell only just returned to the class. In BFA, that was a talent, and nobody took it. So unleash the Fel within you, damaging enemies directly in front of you. So of course, we know all about that spell. We have, oh, I thought that would be Spirit Bomb. Frailty. Enemies struck by Sigil of Flame are afflicted with Frailty for 5 seconds. You'll heal for 8% of all damage you deal to targets with Frailty. Enemy struck by Sigil of Flame. That's not what that used to be, I feel like, right? Isn't that what Spirit Bomb used to be? Interesting. There's Fiery Brand, so that's like one of their main defensive spells. A lot of utility or a lot of synergy with stuff. Deflecting Spikes. Demon Spikes also increase your parry chance. Okay. That's like baseline part of the spell now. Retaliation. When Demon Spikes is active, melee attacks against you cause damage taken to the physical attacker. Or, you know what I mean. Generates high threat as well. That's very interesting. I like that concept. I really like I like it when you take damage, something happens. I like that a lot. That's why I'm looking forward to Blood and Paladin so much. Anyway, you take 10% reduced damage after Demon Spikes ends, and that fades 1 second, 1% per second. We have Soul Furnace. Every 10 soul fragments you consume increases the damage of your next soul cleave. I don't like stuff like that, but sounds could be powerful. Reduces the, because I think right now, like, people just don't even use soul cleave, right? Reduces the cooldown of Throw Glaive by 6 seconds. I don't really get the whole Throw Glaive thing. I don't really understand what you use that for. Okay, Roaring Fire. Fel Devastation heals you for up to 30% more based on your missing health. Cool. We have Burning Blood. Fire damage has been increased by 8%, which we know to be good with... this is actually... Where even is this? It's early on, right? Charred War Blades or whatever. Fel Flame Fortification. You take 5% reduced magic damage while Immolation Aura is active. That's cool. We have Bloodworms. Feast of Souls. Soul Cleave heals you for an additional 54% of attack power over 6 seconds. I've always liked that talent, but it's always like in a competitive row, you can really take it. We have Sheer Fury. It's a really funny name. And there's also Fracture on there. Sheer generates 5 additional Fury. I never liked Fracture, but it does always seem to be the play. Like, you can't really avoid it. We have Chains of Anger. Increase the radius of your sigils. We have Extended Spikes. Increase the duration of Demon Spikes by an incredibly small amount. I assume that's a bug. Probably 0.1 second or maybe 1 full second. But that's a weird talent either way. Agonizing Flames. Immolation Aura increases your movement speed and its duration is increased. I love Immolation Aura. That's like my favorite spell in the kit. We have Soul Barrier. I quite like this too. Shield yourself for 12 seconds, absorbing blah, blah, blah. Consumes all soul fragments to the shield per fragment and adds to the shield per fragment. I see. 30-second CD. I always like this talent. And we also have Bulk Extraction, which I believe was new for Shadowlands. Demolish the spirit of all those around you, dealing fire damage to nearby enemies and extracting up to 5 lesser soul fragments. It's a 1.5 minute CD, though, so it's hard to use. This spell isn't even found. That's how bad this spec is. They don't even have a spell. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, interesting. This is what I'm talking about. I swear they like add these things and they're like, we never really intended for anything to go there. And then they're just gonna be like, hey, we changed it. Don't you guys think that? Like, I look at the Death Knight changes and now they're like posting even more changes for other classes. It's like, you doing that on purpose? You know what I mean? Did you put a bunch of bad talents in that you knew you were going to change? Because like Blood DK had a talent that literally was never in the game. It never actually functioned. Paladin was the same way. A lot of the classes I've been looking at were the same way. They just have talents that were never there. It's like, what's that about? Anyway, oh, they have Death's Advance as well. Frailty now causes afflicted enemies to deal 4% reduced damage to you for 5 seconds. Enemies stuck by Soul Cleave are afflicted with Frailty. Oh, cool. That's actually a pretty good talent, to be honest, for Void Reaver. Volatile Flame Blood. When Immolation Aura deals critical damage, it shatters a lesser soul fragment from the enemy. I love that, actually. That's actually like... I've always loved Immolation Aura in general. Collective Anguish. Fel Devastation summons an allied Havoc Demon Hunter who casts Eye Beam. So that's a legendary right now. That's really a very cool thing to have in the kit for like moving forward. Oh, here we go. Fallout as well. Dude, so many. I could see like, I just love Immolation Aura. It's like my favorite spell. Immolation Aura's initial burst has a chance to shatter lesser soul fragments because it was there from the original Demon Hunter Warcraft 3, I think. That's why I like it so much. Revel in Pain. When Fiery Brand expires on your primary target, you gain a shield that absorbs a bunch of damage for 15 seconds based on the damage dealt to them while Fiery Brand was active. Okay. I think that's a legendary or something. Sounds familiar. I don't know much about it. Oh, there's Spirit Bomb there. Consumes up to 5 available soul fragments that explode. It does fire damage per fragment. So that's fire damage. Has that always been fire damage? And afflicts them with frailty, causing you to heal for 8% of the damage you deal to them. Very interesting. Is that different than this frailty? No, it's the same one. Okay. Yeah, so Spirit Bomb, never really my favorite spell, but it always seems to be the meta. Painbringer, consuming a soul fragment, it reduces all damage you take by 1% for 4 seconds. That's seems like that would be powerful, but I don't know how many you actually consume nowadays. Dark Glare Boon, when Fel Devastation finishes channeling, it refreshes 10 to 20% of its cooldown and it refunds 10 to 20 fury. Oh, so like in case you accidentally fail to finish it, you're getting punished? I don't really get that whole talent. Why would you ever not finish the channel? Cycle of Binding, it's like a very short channel, isn't it? It's 2 seconds. What the hell? Yeah, I'm just too impatient, man. I can't wait 2 whole seconds. Cycle of Binding afflicts an enemy with sigil. Afflicting an enemy with sigil reduces the cooldown of your sigils. Okay, now that's very good. That's the thing. I don't exactly know where you get this nowadays, but yeah, this was crucial to the Vengeance playstyle in the past here. And it seems like that could be very, very powerful mixing with Sigil of Misery. So let's see what else we got. There's Sigil of Chains. That's the AoE, the very small Gorfian's Grasp. But also is a snare. We have Focus Cleave. Soul Cleave deals 50% increased damage to your primary target. Could be good for raiding. Soulmonger, while consuming a soul fragment, would heal you above full health. It shields you instead. Ooh. I feel like that was a BFA Azerite trait, right? We have Ruinous Bulwark. Full Devastation heals for an additional 10%, and 50% of its overhealing is converted into an Absorb Shield. Love that. Absolutely love that. Burning Alive. Every 2 seconds, Fiery Brand spreads to one nearby enemy. I really like Fel Devastation as Vengeance. That's like, I said that back in the Shadowlands Alpha. I was like, dude, if there is one ability that's standing out right now, it was actually it felt more impactful than even like Death Strike and stuff. It was really a powerful moment when you use Fel Devastation. Because it had been gone for so long, it was not something that you were able to use. Fiery Demise. Fire Brand also increases fire damage you deal to the target by 25%. Okay, so I feel like a lot of this stuff is already in the game. The thing is, I don't really think there's much unique here. I think a lot of this is already in the game. But anyway, that's really good with Eldrachi War Blades. So tell me about this. Is this Eldrachi War Blades actually in the game currently? I think no, right? I love this. This is what I've been saying for years. Charred War Blades. That's what it's called. Charred War Blades. I love that. I love that passive leech. It feels like that's what they should have always had. I don't know if it's in the game right now, though. Okay, did we read all these? Yep. Down here, Vulnerability. Frailty now also increases all damage you deal to afflicted enemies by 8%, 2 talent points. That's pretty good. Vengeance is obviously, known to be a high offensive tank. Feed the Demon. Consuming a soul fragment reduces the remaining cooldown of demon spikes. Okay, it's been in the game for a long time. Charred Flesh. Immolation Aura damage increases the duration of your Fiery Brand. A lot of these types of things. You could really keep Fiery Brand up a long time. The Weak-Willed. Multiple application of Frailty may overlap. Soul Cleave applies Frailty to your primary target for 5 seconds. Now that seems powerful. Seems like you're just going to have mad amounts of Frailty. And if it overlaps, that means it stacks, I assume, right? So it'd be 8, then 16. I don't know if it's going to multiply or add or however it's going to work. That seems like that could be very powerful. Here's Soul Carver. Carve into the soul of the target, dealing damage and an additional fire damage over a few seconds. Immediately shatters 2 lesser soul fragments from the target and 1 additional yeah, so this was the artifact ability, if I remember correctly, right? From Legion. Interesting. We have Last Resort, which is just their cheat death, an 8-minute cheat death. But over here we have Fodder to the Elysian Decree. Fodder to the Flame. You're damaging. Why the hell is these two things together? Your damaging abilities have a chance to call forth a demon from the theater of pain for 25 seconds. Throw Glaive deals lethal damage to the demon, which explodes. So that's the vengeance. That's the Necrolord one, right? Yeah, I never really understood if this was good or not. I saw a few people use it, but and then Elysian Decree, we know that to be very good. You know what? It's just cool looking, to be honest. Elysian Decree just looks awesome. And it does a lot of damage. Like it's basically like an offense only spell. It does do some, it has some defensive repercussions, especially with the talents that give you more sigils. But the way people used it was like an offensive only spell. And then we have Down in Flames. Fiery Brand has one additional charge. Wait, did we miss these things? What was this one? Oh yeah, no. Fiery Brand has one additional charge. Well, okay. So honestly, I feel the same way I felt a few tanks now. The end talent tree points are not good. They're very bad. They don't stand out, I guess. They might not necessarily be bad, but they just don't stand out. So let me know what you guys think. I don't really, honestly, I don't really see anything that makes me want to play this class. The thing I always liked about the idea of Vengeance was that it could be a big self-healing tank. But the way it self heals was always like kind of clunky to me after playing Death Knight for so long. It just I feel like it's just living in the shadow of Blood DK. But I have heard that in BFA recently, especially, it can be very very tanky and very interesting to play. It's very fun. People have told me it's very fun, but I just don't really see a lot. Like I mean, it doesn't seem like it's very well represented. So. Tell me what you guys think. Let me know what your thoughts are on this, especially if you play it. I'd love to have a conversation about this because, like I said, it's really the tank that I understand the least. Even though Prot Warrior, I haven't really played in a very long time as well. I played that for a long time in the past. Like it was basically like my main alt for years. So I understand the concept of it. But Vengeance, it's just a little confusing to me. So let me know what you guys think.